Before we start anything, we always like to give God the glory. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the day. We thank you for this experience. We thank you, Heavenly Father, for the people who've made it out. Thank everyone who came out, who took their time to celebrate this great accomplishment.
Good evening, visionaries, and welcome to Legacy Vision Incubator. This is a place for our members to experience a dynamic work environment that breaks the isolation of working from home, working by yourself at coffee shops. And my name is Geralda Larkins. I'm a visionary strategist and CEO of Geralda Larkins Consulting and Impact Kingdom Ministries. We teach kingdom essentials for success in life, in ministry, and in the marketplace. It's truly a privilege to share the vision of legacy with all of you on tonight. This incubator is where we cultivate disciples on a mission to fulfill the Great Commission. We're a one-stop shop for business resources like facilities, startup services, media, financial capital, coaching, strategic planning, and networking connections.
Good evening, creatives. Good evening. Good evening. How are you guys doing? I missed you all because it's been a while since it's just been you and I having discussions, right? So I am excited for tonight. I am M. Denise Simmons. I am the CEO of M.D. Simmons Productions, and we are a production company all about revolutionizing the arts, media, and entertainment industries through film, TV, and production projects for the glory of God. And welcome tonight to another episode of Hashtag Creative Mindset. And Creative Mindset is a show where we talk about all things creative from a biblical perspective. And our hopes is for you to be inspired to create what's in your heart, motivate you to pursue your dreams in the arts, media, and entertainment industries, and educate you on how to be successful in your craft. And we do this through Bible-based discussions, and we also do it through conversations with awesome creatives around the world. So it's super informative. So, but before we go into our topic for tonight. I just want to share with you all the exciting experience I had at the Create 18 conference in Georgia this past weekend. Oh my gosh, this conference was put on by Apostle Brian Meadows. Shout out to Apostle. He is such a dope apostle. And this conference was solely for creative people like you and I, right? And it was for the creative people who are interested in the arts, media, and entertainment industries and have gifts like singing, dancing, producing, writing, painting, graphic arts, photography, everybody was there. And the unique thing about this conference is that it edifies your spirit. Oh my gosh. I was so on cloud 9 because my spirit was edified in a creative way. And it's one thing to go to church, and no shade to the pastors that, preach and teach the word every Sunday, but there is something unique. There is something unique when the word is being catered to your spirit in a creative way. And that's what this conference was for me. I was on cloud 9 and it was just such a dope experience to be in an atmosphere because it was like my inner soul was being ministered to in a creative way. And it was so awesome to see people who look and sound like you in one building, and they love God and they worship him just as creative in how you do it. And it was just so awesome. My mentee also went as well. Shout out to Aisha. And she had an awesome time because her mind was blown away because at this conference, we received more insight. We received wisdom, revelation about our gifts. We also received impartation from Apostle Brian Meadows. And my confidence was strengthened. It's something when your confidence is strengthened in your creativity. And it was just an exciting atmosphere. Oh my God, people who love God as much as you do, getting down and worshiping, it was super, super dope. And it was even more exciting to see how creatives worship God in a different way. And one of the nights of worship, while the praise team was singing, there was a trapeze artist flowing in the midst of the worship atmosphere. And so the trapeze artist was in the center, and then we had the two painters that were just freely just painting, free flowing while praise and worship is going on, trapeze artists and the painters. So I'm saying it, but you're probably trying to visualize it, but check this out. Never imagined in my life that I would experience that type of worship. To worship God in a setting like that in church, it wasn't that awesome? So as a creative, it made me visually see that there are so many ways that we can infuse our gifts and our talents to worship God in the church, to just worship God just freely. Okay. And so it made me think about some other ways that we can worship God because I saw this and then my mind went even further. So say, for example, you're a comedian. Why not open up the service with some laughter? Isn't, laughter good for the soul? Or if you are an actor, right? You can be doing a monologue and while the worshipers or the dancers are in the back dancing, praising God, and you're doing a monologue. Like, how captivating could that be? Because you're catering to the many senses of the people that you are ministering to. So you have acting, you have the music, you have the dancing, like it just all flows. So it's just super, 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 super awesome. And I can go on and on about how just phenomenal this conference was, but I encourage you all to check it out. It's called the Create Conference in Georgia by Apostle Brian Meadows of Embassy Church in Atlanta, Georgia. Check it out. So tonight, I want to share a revelation that I got about the word character while I was there at the conference, and how God just kind of really opened my eyes of the importance for creatives to work on building their character. Because you're working on building your character as you create and as you produce. So I want to talk about the life of young David, right? Young David. He was such an all-around dope creative in the Bible, and there is so much we can learn from him. But for the purposes of tonight's topic, I just want to focus on his early years, okay? His early years that shaped him as a creative, okay? As an artist, and eventually a great king. So let's look at the word creative. What does it, not creative. Let's look at the word character and what it means. From the conference, one of the speakers defined character as commitment to a set of values, not compromise. Character is who you are in private, right? So let's look at young David, and let's look at young David and how and who he was in private before he was anointed king, before he became one of the greatest kings in the world. He was just the youngest son of Jesse. So in 1 Samuel 16, it talks about how God sent the prophet Samuel on a journey, on a mission to anoint the next king over Israel, because God was pretty much fed up with King Saul and all his foolishness. He was like, he just got to go, right? So Samuel embarks on this journey to anoint the next king. And so he finds this man named Jesse. He goes into his home and he's just like, Jesse, he's looking at Jesse's and his son. And then Samuel immediately finds one of Jesse's son. He's like, ooh, this one looks like he looks good. He looks like he should be king. And then so God immediately checked Samuel and was like, no. Look, Samuel, man judges by outward appearance, but me, I look at the heart. So long story short, Samuel goes through the whole gambit of rejecting all the sons of Jesse, to the point he was like, look, Jesse, do you have any more children? And I just love the way the Bible set up David's interest, because I'm entrance into this, let's say, this scene, and how they introduced who David was, right? So David was out there. He was out there tending to the sheep. He was out there working. He was working on himself. He was out there working while no one was watching, in private, right? He was creating his character while he was out there on the field. So let's think about the task when it comes to tending to sheep, right? So imagine it's one of you and a whole bunch of sheep. It makes me think about the level of organizational skills that you have to manage all those sheep and be a good manager, right? Or the leadership ability you have to just keep them together and then make them flow and go wherever you want them to go. And just the level of creativity that goes in just being around sheep, like being around sheep all by yourself. Like, I think for me, it would just drive me crazy, because right now I can just hear the sound of just sheep, bad. Like my mind would just go like crazy, right? So what comes to my mind when I think of David, and please share also like what comes to your mind when you think of David's character. I think of his character as being one of a hard worker, right? He's a hard worker. He has integrity, integrity because he's the only one out there doing the work, still doing the work, and faithful. Like he is so faithful to his position because his skin color, and if you look at different versions of the Bible, they describe his skin color as ruddy or dark skin tone color. Like they describe it as dark. So obviously he was out there in the blazing hot sun, right? Tended to these sheep. So like he was truly, truly faithful. Day in and day out, he was at it. Or just dependable, just taking care of all the sheep by himself and responsible. Like I think of responsible because he was the youngest of all the brothers, and he was out there tending to the sheep. Or creative. I think about his character being also creative because for him to be a dope musician and eventually playing before King Saul, he was getting his practice on while he was out there in the field with those sheep by himself. Like he had nothing but time on his hands to just work on his craft. So I ask you, before you see yourself on the next stage or the next platform singing and dancing your heart out, or in a studio, you're imagining yourself in a studio meeting with executives pitching your short film or your next feature film, or owning your own nail shop or hair salon. What are you doing now in private to create your character? What are you doing now in private to create your character? Because I like how when Samuel called young David into the room, the Bible says in 1 Samuel 16, verse 12, he was glowing with health and he had a fine appearance and handsome features, right? So now, although the Bible is describing how good David looked on the outside, but I want you all to pay close attention because it was the work that happened in private, okay? Before he got called on, before he was anointed, that's why he looked so good. It was the work that happened in private. He was cultivating, he was nurturing, he was creating his character. So you creative person out there, I'm talking to you. Please understand that your character is super, super important for the viability of your brand, your reputation, longevity in the arts, media, or entertainment industry. It is important for the public, okay, for your public life to be a reflection of your private life. I'm going to say that again. It is so important for your public life to be a reflection of your private life. So if you are truly an honest person to your family and friends, so when you get before a producer and he's like, listen to this hot track, but you know that the song is contrary to your lifestyle and your belief, are you going to compromise your honesty to be the next big hit, to be the next big thing? Or if you are someone who is reliable, okay, you're known to be reliable, but because you're famous or you made a name for yourself, those close to you now can't reach you. They can't get in contact with you. Or are you truly like a cool, sweet, down-to-earth person, but when you get around certain people in the industry or different creative elements, you switch up just to fit in, and now people looking at you sideways like, what's up? Like, what's really going on? Okay? Like, think about you. Think about who you are when it comes to your character. And I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be so honest. I am still working on building my character as an entrepreneur. Because while I was working a 9-to-5, I wasn't representing myself or my brand. I was representing the company that I was working for. And so, but now as an entrepreneur, someone who is called by God to create things that bring revelation to the world, I have a huge responsibility of being a positive representation of God's light in this world and to shine in those dark places. And you do too. Because with everything I do, real talk, I want it all to just point back to God. Like, I just want him to get the glory out of all of it. So I'm starting to see who I am on the inside is starting to just kind of, come out, and is freely coming out into the world. And it, for me, is becoming like, it's like euphoria. It's a beautiful feeling to just feel when you're freely creating and worshiping and doing things for the glory of God. Like, for me, that's how it makes me feel. But we also have to be mindful of those negative characteristics, right? Which can be detrimental to yourself and also detrimental to others as well. Because unfortunately, King David had some, he was a little messed up too, right? He was a murderer. He was an adulterer. Okay. He was selfish, but your character is shaped by how you respond to the tests of life. What I love about David, or one of the things that I love about David, is that he immediately acknowledged his sin and repented to God. And that is why he's lovingly known as the man after God's own heart, right? Life is going to try you. Life is going to test you, okay? Your true character will show up in your response to those tests. So, creative, I leave you with this thought for tonight. You are the creator of your character, and it can only be built and shaped by you. Although that there are influences, but it is your response that dictates who you are. Take time to build your character privately. While no one is coming for you, no one is calling you, no one is watching you, take that time to reflect and build and work on yourself. Practice now on being dependable. Practice now on being honest, professional, highly attentive to details when it comes to your craft. So when you get that call, you're ready, you're glowing, you look good, you're ready to go. Like, it's nothing for you. So that is all for tonight. I pray that you all got some nuggets on how to work on creating your character for what you are called to do in your creative element. I love you all. Please, please, please tune in next week, next Wednesday. Same time, same place. I will be chatting with a super, super dope custom designer. She's a stylist. She cooks. She does everything. Like, she is super, 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 super sweet. And she is a sweetheart at heart, really. Erica Everett. Please tune in. I will see you all next Wednesday. Good night and God bless.